It's not enough to just be better than the average person, because that's you just I mean, you're literally just taking advantage of people who don't have the same talent as you do.
What the fuck is wrong with you thinking that you are doing something incredible?
So I felt like I was at the top of the world, you know. I'm like, man, I have all this knowledge.
Where everybody's like, you used to be different, man. We used to have fun together. You're only working now. You're doing this wrong. You need to change this for yourself. Everyone has an opinion now.
Be ready to change yourself. Be ready to challenge your better self. Know that your mind can develop a passionate winning spirit, but not by yourself. We guarantee your family in love with your life, and you're gonna love all the grind. Lewis and Bars together, we develop your mindset with vitamin C for your mind. Don't you settle with what you know. There's much to learn, there's much to earn. Tell yourself, I'm ready to fight, ready to be heard. Out of success and awakening rise. There's so many words that turn into prices. Be ready to change for the best. Step up and be great. Don't be like the rest. Develop your mindset.
Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Saturday again. As usual, we do our podcast. As you see today, the setting is a little bit different. This is not somewhere else. This is our new studio. So you are looking at a permanent studio. After this, we're gonna have this beautiful setting. We've been working for 5 weekends, and we finally finished, put it together. We're doing our number 51 podcast, Develop Your Mindset, on our new studio. So this is a beautiful big table that I built, and this is a beautiful shelf right behind us, and those triangles they cancel sound. And it's purposely made. Inside of it, they have roofing material. When I did a lot of research, I learned that kind of material cancels the echo in the room, and then hopefully this is going to make better sound in the room, and it's going to make the experience for you guys watching, it's going to be a little bit better. So this table is Shugiban technique, where you torch the table, the wood, and then you clean it over. You bring the surface back, and you use a dye to paint it. And as you guys see, we use turquoise dye, because our primary colors on our podcast is turquoise. If that's the colors that we've been using for our thumbnails and our what do you call the goes over the videos.
Goes over the videos?
Yeah,
what
the
do you
picture.
mean? Yeah, that's the thumbnail, right?
Thumbnail.
Or that's the one that we use to show.
Yeah, like the picture, the video before it starts.
Yeah.
Thumbnail.
Yeah, that's a thumbnail.
Okay, so we've been using for thumbnail. We've been using on thumbnail because that's our primary colors, and then I use the dye, turquoise dye, and then this is all mixed with the burn wood color dyed. It's amazing. It looks so incredible, and we put a nice, maybe like over 10 times clear coat over it to protect the wood and the coloring, everything. So here we are. This is our new studio. We'll be utilizing this every opportunity that we have, and with our new channel on YouTube, Develop Your Mindset. Since we separate the channels from Kabartsi to Develop Your Mindset channel, now with this new studio, with our new setting, with our tablets, where we can individually see the questions that we created. If we have to do some research, we can go on line immediately, and then stuff like that. And yeah, we're pretty much this is the setting after this video, and I hope you guys enjoy the view. And we're gonna start very soon the podcast, and yeah, Luis, you can take over.
Yeah, so Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Develop Your Mindset podcast. And yeah, as you can see, we finally got ourselves a very nice, presentable, and professional studio for you guys, to improve the viewing experience for everybody out there who watches our podcast. And definitely, and we got those the audio things in the back. What were they again? They're like
the roofing materials in there.
Yeah, so it minimizes the echo, and I can definitely tell the difference. Actually, now that I'm here, I'm sitting, I'm talking, I can actually, I can tell there's a bit of a difference now as far as like how my voice comes out, and I think there is far more or less echo now than there was in the past podcasts. But definitely, I'm very excited. We're very excited, to be able to have this for you guys. And, he worked very hard on making this table happen. It wasn't easy. And I can definitely tell, just by looking at it and feeling it, the texture and everything is just like, it's amazing. It's amazing. You guys are watching it right there through a camera. And it might look amazing as well, but just having it here live, being able to be here, and it's like it's a whole different thing. We also got a new pair of lenses as well, so hopefully you guys can see us even more sharper now, a little bit better. We've improved the audio as well as far as the microphones, and we've done a lot of changes to the podcast. And I'm very excited to go ahead and get started and be able to bring to you guys the knowledge that we're going to bring to you guys in this episode.
All right. So as usual, whatever the company, we're working really hard here, whatever the company goes through, we experience through the company, certain things stands out, and for this week, definitely, yesterday we had an experience where that experience stands out the more than the other experiences this week, which is one of our clients called in early in the morning, and it was so early I didn't even pick up the phone. It was like crazy, like let me get to my work first. Then of course Rita gets the call, and we asked the customer to come in a certain time and leave, because the thing is, like when you stop the flow of the company, you don't make money, you lose money, because by the time the guys they get back to what they were doing, they've lost more time than you can actually charge for whatever job that was for that moment, for that 5-10 minutes. So what happened was, like, he went to somewhere else and had that job done, and it reminded me of, at one point I was doing that kind of work, and since then I had my breakdown. If you guys watching the the podcast, the story. I had my breakdown, and I changed my mindset, and I've started building a company, and we became multiple people working here, more like 7-8 of us, and so today's podcast, I'm going to talk about what does it take to start, the difference between sitting by yourself and waiting for a job to come, and and then developing yourself enough where you have lots of people, create a company, create a difference between difference between one person and a company, and the dimension of the dimension and circumstances, and these are the stuff that we're going to talk about today. What does it take to go bigger than being by yourself waiting for a job? And those are the questions today, and I'm gonna narrow down that time where I came out of that mindset, and it's very true for Luis too. When we started working together, me and Luis, in the beginning, Luis was completely different mindset. His belief system was different. Today, Luis is a different person. I know, I see it happening, and so I know that Luis has a lot to say from his entrepreneurship journey when it comes to this kind of breakdown. So without further ado, I'm gonna go with the first questions, which is the difference between talented individual doing business by themselves or entrepreneur and having a company. The difference is this is what the difference is. Like the difference is you have two hands. You can you know like how much you can do, what you can do. There's always a point where you're tired or you're exhausted, and your customers are pushing you. You have to still perform, and that is very heavy, very non-ending. I remember when I first decided to start a company, from when I was working by myself to start a company, that means I had to bring in bigger clients and then more jobs. And then the way it works is like, when you promise somebody something, you better finish. If you don't, they're gonna move on. So when I start promising them, that means for me, it was like 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, for like 3 months straight. I was going straight. I was overly tired. I was overly worked. By the time I was confident enough, and it was so not easy to change your mindset from sitting working by yourself to believing that you need to delegate, you need to work with others, you need if whatever you're doing, like you need more tools or you need more software, you need more jobs, you need help, and this is how it goes, right? And that time was so tiring for me. But if you don't go through that journey, there's no way you're gonna expand into have enough job where you can hire someone, and then I remember I had less job. That meant I can bring more job, and then I can push myself, and then you hire one more person, and then you go less job, and then this is the rotation. This is how it goes forward. That was the difference between one person sitting doing one man show and then turning it into company, and multiple people are playing as one and going forward. So that was the experience that I went through, and I hear all the time. I'm gonna add this. Sorry, I was about to tell you like to take over, but I hear all the time people, friends, colleagues, everywhere that I go, everywhere that I be, I hear it all the time. You need money to make money. It's not true, guys. You need money to bring in bigger equipment so you can make yourself go faster. But to make money, you don't really need money. You need expertise. You need mindset. You need to put a lot of hours, and you bring the money. The money will come from the effort, And then if you know how to save money, then obviously you can save money and bring in other equipments and make yourself faster. That's a whole nother thing. But please understand that you don't need money to make money. You need the mindset, you need the effort, you need the expertise to make money. This is where the money is. This is where the money comes from. And Grant Cardone says, who's got my money? Ask that question. You're going to know where the money is, who has it. You're going to go after those people. Yeah. You can take it.
Yeah, so that's very true what you said about the money, definitely. And so when you're working as an individual, as far as me goes, as far as like the entrepreneur journey here, definitely, it's a whole different thing, when you're working by yourself as opposed to when you have somebody there, to help you out, whether that's a coworker, whether that's a boss, or whoever it is as an entrepreneur, whoever you're working with. You see, because he put in the perspective that, of course, you only have so much energy, you only have so much resources, you only have two hands, and you can only do so much. But as far as like working with other individuals, that also opens up the opportunity for them to cover, the areas where you might not be as good and as effective and as fast as you can in the places where you really stand out. So I believe that it's very important that you work with others, because those other individuals, they may be really good at the things that you may not be so good at. And so when you have a vision, you have a purpose, it's going to take more than just your strengths in order to get to that end goal. And you won't be able to get there if you're unable to, get people to help you out and have everybody, be on the same journey, on the same track, doing what they do best in order for, the entire team, the entire company to move forward and get to that end goal. So definitely, I think it makes a huge difference when you're able to, when you learn to work with others and you learn to truly trust your whoever it is that you're working with. Trust them and know that they're gonna do the best that they can. And really, this really comes down to, trusting them and really getting to know who you're working with as well. Making sure that they're actually, they're committed and they're doing what they love to do, really. And at the same time, they're still putting in the hard work to continue growing and educating themselves. Because it's one thing to have a natural talent at something, but then the talent itself is not enough. You still got to build up upon that talent and, educate yourself and build on your skill in order to make that talent really flourish and, reach its maximum potential in order for that to happen. And so you have to constantly push yourself, not only yourself, but also the people that are working along your side. So definitely it's a big difference. Even as an entrepreneur or as an intrapreneur, you still gotta see it in a very similar way, and always look to work with others so that you guys can eventually move faster and of course reach that end goal.
For sure, entrepreneur is the same when it comes to taking action, because we always talk about no one's coming. That means you have to be the initiative, taking initiative. You have to be the person taking the first step. No one is gonna come tell you what to do. Education help, like you said. So
yeah.
The next one, it's a full of bunch of it's a whole question, but full of a bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about, which is like time management. If you guys have never heard this word, time management is one of the top lines of being running a company or being an entrepreneur and working hard. You know what? I think I just skipped. I'm gonna go one up above, which is like we'll come back to the time management. Trust issues. That comes before all this time management. Trust issue is a heavy thing to experience and accept. I'm gonna talk about that. And ego is we all know what ego is. If you don't know, we're gonna talk about it. Control is not easy to let go. Control is much harder than anything else on this planet for humans. And telling stories is one more thing where your mind does not realize what you're doing. You're just telling stories about a lot of things. We're going to talk about that for a minute. And having excuses comes after stories, excuses, so you don't have to take action. And here we go. This is like a whole podcast, but I'm going to put it really short because this is what it takes to move from one individual sitting, waiting for some work to come and making some money, also moving to building a company. This is the road to success, to build a company, to create a company. So let's go first, which is like trust issues. Now, this was number one for me, which is like I at that point I had companies where I was working with my brothers, and I never had this feeling of me being the front runner, and calling shots. And when I was faced with that, I was faced with these issues, which is like trust issue. I had a client I probably told this story for previous podcast, but this is very true. This is the pivotal point where everything shifted for me. This made me start thinking very deeply. If this hasn't happened to you, take it like a grain of salt and take it to your heart. Start thinking very deep about this, which is like trust issue. What happened was I was a really good jeweler, and I wasn't only a jeweler, I was a polisher. I was a jeweler. I did my rhodium platings, I did my wax designings, I did my finishing, also some diamond setting at that time. I do a lot more right now because I took that action to create. But let's come back to trust issue. I never trusted anyone. I thought no one can do as good as I can. I never trusted anyone to for them to come and take over what I'm doing, so I can do more. And I had a customer. She looked at me. I still hear it in my ears, like she told me today. This is more like 6 years ago. She told me that you don't trust anyone, right? Immediately my ego told me that of course I trust people. What do you mean I don't trust people? But afterwards, when I was thinking more and more, I realized that I do work by myself. I don't have anyone with me. That means I don't trust anyone. I don't want anyone to come in my life, in my business life, to do what I do. And I realized that I really don't trust anyone. And that was the wake-up call for me after a few weeks of thinking about it. And I had to deal with my ego, which I wrote here, to start bringing my ego down. Start telling myself, no, I am this person. When you're not, just admit it and move on and fix yourself. How are you going to work with others? Learn about how you're going to work with others. And then control. You had to let go. I had to let go of control. I was control freak. I thought I was going to do everything, and I was going to make a lot of money, buy houses and cars and everything. That was insanity. And I learned how to let go of my control. And then telling stories. I used to tell stories to myself how great it's going to be. I'm going to do so good. And then this is how the road is. This is the road to success. And these are all. It was all bullshit. And and having excuses. I had all kinds of excuses. When someone came told me like, oh, dude, you should do it this way. I was like, no, you don't understand. I know what I'm doing. And I had all these excuses, all these stories built over each other. It was like I was drowning in those stories and excuses. By the time I came out of it, it was probably over a year of working on myself. It was so crazy, bro. So trust issues. If you haven't heard this, if you haven't heard this line, you heard it now from me, and then go work on it and fix yourself, become better version of you.
Yeah. I don't think I've experienced anything like that major, with trust issues, to be honest. For the most part, I mean, as far as like I can recall, I've always been pretty, pretty smart about that in some way, because like I've always recognized like I have a certain amount of strengths and certain amount of things that I really like to do, and that I'm passionate about, and that I know I can be pretty good at. And then there's other things where I know that I just don't like it, and if I don't like it, most likely I'm just not going to be as effective and as good as I could possibly be. But that's just really me, that's not to say that everybody is like that, but as far as like my experience goes, like I'm just a very passionate guy, and I like to pursue passion always. Passion before anything else. So if my heart isn't in it and I really don't have any passion for it, nothing's really calling me to do it, for the most part I probably won't do it, because it's just not something that I feel. But as far as like ego control, definitely it could be something of a problem, when you just don't trust anyone and you feel like you can do everything, because the reality is that you can't do everything, and you don't know everything either. There's other people who the reality is they're going to be better than you are, and pretty much anything that you think that you're really good at, there's always going to be somebody else out there who can do it better than you can, and that's just the reality. So, don't fool yourself, and definitely, like, it's going to hold you back too if you have this type of mindset as well, because if you think you know it all and you think you're the best, well, then you'll never go out there and really seek more knowledge, or seek somebody to actually, tell you the truth and tell you that, hey, you know what, perhaps you can improve on this, maybe you can hire more people, maybe you can work on this a little bit better, you can perfect that a little bit better. Nobody's going to be there to tell you that, because you're pushing these people away, because you're telling them, like, hey, you know what, like, I already know how to do this, I don't need nobody lecturing me, nobody telling me that I'm wrong and stuff like that. So definitely ego control can really prevent you from growing. So definitely, if you have that, make sure you bring awareness to it and you work on resolving it. Maybe you can do something similar like he did, just think about it, ponder it. Sometimes it takes a little while for it to click. So definitely, if that's what you have to do, then do that. But and definitely, as far as the excuses go, just stop telling yourself, giving yourself excuses, because just like the ego control, excuses also hold you back, and they prevent you from growing as well, because you're not taking action. If you're putting an excuse in front of your action taking, then you're never going to get past that, and you're never going to take action. If you don't take action, well, there's no improvement to really be made, because sure, you can study, you can educate yourself, but if you're not putting that into action, you're not implementing any of the knowledge that you're taking in, then the knowledge is pretty much worthless, because you're not putting in any work, any action. Nothing's really there for you to show that you actually have some sort of knowledge to begin with. So definitely, and also, the knowledge itself and studying can also contribute to that ego control. You can study and study and study, and then your mind will think that you're an expert now, just because you got access to, like, maybe some really, like, very valuable knowledge, and now you think that you're above everybody else in the industry, but that's not the truth. Like, you have to actually implement that if you want that to really stick and become part of you, really. So definitely, yeah.
Beautiful. So after you deal with the trust issue and ego and telling stories and excuses, you come back to you pass that, and you told yourself, I'm going for it. Now when you go for it, you're faced with time management. These are some things where when you're faced with, you're forced to learn how to be better. And one of the things that you're going to face with is time management, which is I found myself in a very hard place when I was working 7 days a week, 3 months straight. I realized that I was losing a lot of time here, and I wasn't making time there. Also, in how do you say, like, in nature, in real life, women, they're much better than this in this than men are. So that was one thing I learned during this. Time management is not our strong point, but not that to say you cannot learn. You can actually learn it if you know, and then realize that this is what you need to work on, and then you work towards this goal, and you can be better in it. So I had to go through this. I had to learn about how to save time, or utilize time, or not lose time, or instead of maybe I should come back to this. Let me move on. I have something to say more. Working hard, not be able to finish. Working hard, not be able to finish. Lack of discipline. This is one more part. Lack of discipline. Discipline is something that you also have to work on it, especially if you haven't learned from your mom and dad growing up. A lot of us, we go against our parents, and that would make us not be disciplined. What is discipline? Discipline is doing something that you promised in that time that you promised that you're going to finish, instead of doing something else, watching program, watching TV, talking to your friend, talking to your girlfriend, boyfriend, doing something that is not correlated with your promise, and you're not managing your time, and you don't have discipline enough to make yourself tell this person, please, I have something to finish, I'll get back to you, thank you very much. Turn off that phone call, let that guy ask him to leave, or whatever you have to do, so you can finish your whatever you had promised that you're going to finish. And then this is how you manage your time. You don't get drift away and do something different. It's not good to live life drifting. It's always good to understand what your your importance are, and then work hard to finish those in that time frame, and learn time where you can promise people and also be on time when you do your promises. Don't do obviously stupid promises where you cannot finish, but also when there's something is feasible, you don't go back and drift around doing other things where you're not finishing this job, and then you come back, it's the sun is down, and then you're screwed. And basically you need to learn time management, and you need to learn discipline, and this is what it takes.
Yeah, so time management is certainly very important if you want to maximize the amount of work that you get done every single day. And I think it's very important that you have a purpose, you have a vision, you have something that you're going after so badly that you're willing to, set a specific time every single day to hit a specific goal that's going to get you closer to that end purpose, that end vision. So definitely that's the number one reason why I believe you should consider time management, because if you don't manage your time, then your time can be wasted doing things that are not congruent to whatever vision that you're trying to go after. And because of that, then getting to that vision is going to take so much longer, because you're not taking, who knows, maybe on this day you actually do a lot of work, but then the next day you don't do any work, and then it's just like, it's very random, like you're not devoting the necessary time in order to get to that vision so much faster. So when you start to implement time management, that's really the point where I feel like you're already committed, and you're really willing to do whatever it takes to get there so much faster. So definitely it's something that you should consider, because not only can it also slow you down, but it could even compromise you actually reaching that end vision, because who knows, maybe along the way you end up doing something that may just ruin that entire vision. Stuff like that can happen. So you got to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen. So that's why you got to really manage your time and make sure that you say no to the things that are not going to contribute to you reaching that vision. So definitely extremely important. And working hard is definitely something, it's a skill that I believe you should learn to develop, because hard work is ultimately what's going to get you to your end vision, and hard work is not easy. That's why it's hard work. So you really have to, discipline definitely is definitely going to be one of the factors that's going to matter the most, when you're pursuing hard work, because hard work it's hard. And so naturally your body, your mindset is going to want to pursue work that's more easier, more simpler, more relaxing, more comforting. And so you want to stay away from that if you actually want to grow and you want to make progress, because if all you do is simple work, then it's going to get boring pretty quickly, and you're just going to know it's going to be very predictable. You're not really going to grow because you're not pushing yourself. When you do hard work, you're pushing yourself. So you're pushing yourself to do more. Perhaps you're working for an extended amount of hours, or maybe your hard work is doing something that's more complicated than what you originally do, or who knows, maybe you have to learn a new process, you have to learn a new way of doing something, maybe you have to learn something new. And so hard work in of itself is not easy, but it definitely will grow you, and it'll advance you so much faster. The more hard work you're willing to do, the more you're going to get to your end vision. And of course, that's going to require discipline. And like he said, sometimes that discipline isn't taught to you by your parents or the people around you, so you're gonna have to learn this on your own. And it's definitely not easy if right now you're not if you lack the discipline. It's definitely going to be something that's going to take time, but definitely if you start to put in the practice every single day to become more and more disciplined, eventually getting into that disciplined mindset, it's going to be so much easier along the way as the more you do it. So definitely extremely important. And yeah.
All right. Remember, you guys, we are a jewelry company. We have a website. Please visit our website, see what you think, and please let us know. We'd appreciate. If you guys have any questions, let us know about the website jewelry. It is kabartsi.com. And let me move on, which is using your talent not a correct way. Waste of time, waste of talent. Remember, today we're talking about one person sitting by himself, working and trying to bring in some work job to make some money, and so he can pay his bills. What it takes from that mindset to come to building a company, that the journey of the mindset, developing yourself to start your bigger version, better version of you, the bigger picture, and developing a company. That's what we're talking about. So this is going to be fast but very important. Using your talent not in correct way. Now I made a video 10 steps of mastery, which is what it takes to develop a talent. We will put a link down below if you guys are interested to watch what it takes. And we also very soon we're gonna release the audiobook, or for the first we're gonna release the electric what do you call that?
The PDF
file,
Yeah.
So you guys can go read, and if you don't want to watch the
ebook.
The ebook, actually it's going to be a lot better than the videos, because the videos I did it in the initially before I learned to do any of this. So but the information is there if you guys are interested to go see. Now talent is one thing, and using it in a correct way, the right way, is another thing. So first it takes a long time to learn talent. Then once you learn your talent, now using your talent not a correct way, waste of time, waste of talent. So it is just here, like if you don't discipline yourself, if you don't manage your time, if you don't manage your ego, if you don't stop telling yourself excuses and stories, you don't start trusting people, your talent will go for waste, really. I mean, a lot of people wanted to do this and that. I made a video, and it's a long time ago, it was almost like 8-9 months ago now, that I've talked about. When we go to a cemetery, we look on these plugs that we walk on, and some of those plugs maybe should have said I wanted to be to start a company, and like made a difference with in a lot of people's lives. And I wanted to become a doctor, I wanted to become engineer, I wanted to build a car, and they never took the action. They never were able to come over their fear, their egos, and their excuses, and they never achieved that. They most likely went out of this planet with a lot of regrets. And that's one thing that you can stop doing, and stop having in the end, don't have any regrets. That's what regret minimization is. One of the goals should be for everybody, because in the end we all gonna get old, and we all gonna say, I wish I did this, I wish I did that, which is it's over, So before that point, let me come back to what I'm saying here. this question is using your talent not a correct way is waste of time and waste of talent. So use your talent wisely and use it good and do make a difference not only in your life but like people around you too.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if you don't use your talent the right way, it could definitely become a waste of time and really a waste of your talent. So, you know, if you have a talent and you've already recognized that, you became aware of what your talent is, you really have to go out there and maximize the potential of that talent and not let it go to waste. So you do that by being very proactive and putting yourself in challenging situations that are going to force your talent to be utilized to its maximum potential. And yes, you know, to some degree, you might realize that, you know, your talent, you might feel talented at this point, and who knows, you may not be challenging yourself, and that could be because, you know, you may have that, you know, we spoke previously about the ego, and so your ego may be stopping you from going out there and challenging yourself because, you know, you have the talent and you've realized, you know, like you're a little bit better than most average people because you have that talent. But here's the thing, like, it's not enough. It's not enough to just be better than the average person, because that's you just. I mean, you're literally just taking advantage of people who don't have the same talent as you do. But you know, when you challenge yourself, is when you actually go up against other people who also have that same talent. Yeah. Who have that same talent as you do, and who knows, perhaps they might even be better than you. And so that's really where your ego will really try to stop you and be like, hey, you know what, like I don't really want to find out, you know. But that's really where you want to go, and you want to actually put your talent right there to the test. And right there you'll realize that yes, you may have the talent, and yes, you may be better than the average person, but you're not the best of the best just yet. So you have to definitely put in that hard work, as we spoke previously, in order to, you know, maximize the potential of your talent. So yes, your talent is just a starting point. It's really letting you know, like, hey, you know what, you're already like decent enough. You have some sort of a advantage over like the average person, but that doesn't mean that you're the best of the best. And that's really what you want to go after once you find out, you know, what your talent is. So definitely the correct way to use your talent is to really maximize it. And once you do that, of course, you know, you're able to become, you know, the best of the best. You know, once you're there, you can actually choose to do many things with that talent, you know, depending on what industry you're in. You know, in some cases you may be able to actually go and help people. In other places you may just be able to inspire people. You know, maybe you're an athlete, maybe as an athlete you don't actually coach people to be better, but who knows, you may inspire people just by you being a very great athlete. You know, you may inspire other little upcoming individuals, you know, who may be pursuing that. You know, you might inspire them to go and start doing the same athletic journey that you're taking or something. Or who knows, you may actually be pursuing something along the lines of helping out somebody. But definitely, if we think about it, you don't want to stay in your comfort zone. Really, that's really the gist of this all. You know, in summary, you know, don't stay in your comfort zone. You know, yes, you know, you having a talent is great, it's awesome, but it can't stop there. You know, that's, if you choose to stay there, then that's you staying in your comfort zone. That's you staying in a place where, you know, things are comfortable. You don't really challenge yourself. You don't really go up against you know, somebody who can potentially, you know, tear you apart, really, because that's and that's really something that could happen, you know, once you put yourself up against somebody who has the same talent as you do. But who knows, maybe they put in some extra work that you haven't, and they will take you down. And that's really how it works in this world, you know. Like if you still haven't found somebody who has teared you apart, then that means that you haven't challenged yourself enough and you're in a comfort zone. So yeah, definitely. So definitely, like, it hurts, when you go up against someone and yes, they take you down, but it hurts. But at the same time, you know, you can recover from that pain and you can come back even stronger and better and smarter. So that's really how you're supposed to use your talent properly, and not just live with the talent and scrub it on average people, because that's just you being like a little bully. You know, that you're bullying on people who, you know, who can't even, like, they can, obviously, you know, they don't have the same talent, so they can't really go up against you in that. But you know, if you want to maximize that talent, go up against people who can really give you that competition where, you know, you can both grow at the same time. So that makes it more of a healthy competition as opposed to wanting to, you know, tear people apart. But yeah.
For sure. Very short story. My first experience, me understanding, knowing that you know, I'm a great jeweler. I create amazing rings and everything. I went to Burning Man, and then next thing I know, I'm next to this statue. It's 3-story tall. Somebody actually took a bunch of like millions or hundreds of thousands or millions of long, big, giant screws, and he welded together and turned it into this beautiful, tall statue. And when I went there first time, I looked at it and I touched it and I looked 3-story tall. I thought myself, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with you? Thinking that you are doing something incredible. After that, I was able to control my ego and control myself that, dude, you have lots of work and the possibility of making something amazing is unendless. And you know, and when I came back, I start pushing myself so much that I've told this story. I've removed all kinds of magazines, all kinds of ideas, all kinds of other people, you know, visions, everything from my work environment, and I start just designing and you know, designing and developing new ideas. And once I start pushing myself, I realize that I can do so much more. I don't need to look at other people's designs or anything like that to get any kind of inspiration. But I've learned to inspire myself through listening to in my core, in my belief system, in my ideas, in my what have I experienced. So I get out of your comfort zone, like Louis said, and then just like push yourself to go to Burning Man or to some woods somewhere, or travel to other country to something and experience some amazing feelings and bring that with you, and then implement it in your talent and create something incredible. So that's that. So I'm gonna move on. I said here, finally breakdown. You maybe need to go through breakdown. To go through transformation. What is this word I said? Morphing into higher mindset. So those words are placed because those words actually, you as a human, as your mind is a mind plasticity, to develop your new neurons, to new habits, new way of seeing things, new light. You go through these steps. This is what happens. Finally, you break down. You lose your what you're holding on to, your egos, your like all this bullshit that you've been holding on forever and telling everyone about it. You let go of that. You transform yourself, you morph yourself into higher mindset, because the reason we call this show Develop Your Mindset, because this is actually what we went through. This is actually what happened to us. We've been talking about this kind of information throughout this show, because this is what we experience. This is what we can explain, right? We're not doing something we don't understand. So basically, finally, I had my breakdown. I was like, holy shit, you know, like no one's coming. I gotta change. What am I doing? All these years, I was 44, 45 years old. I had my breakdown. I was sobbing, crying. I couldn't uncontrollably. I couldn't control myself. for like so many minutes, and the floor was wet. I was like, what's going on to me? I'm having breakdown. But in reality, that was where I left my self go, and I start developing my new mindset. And since then I've never stopped developing myself, self-development, education, being better version of me, always, all the time, non-stop, 24 hours. I wake up 3 a.m. in the morning, I do it. I wake up first thing in the morning, I do it. Before I go to sleep, I do it. While I'm working, if I have time, I'll do it. This is what I'm doing. This is what it takes to become, to morph into your higher mindset. And I mean, I can go more, but let me.
Yeah. So definitely breaking down is definitely one of the most effective and most, I would say, it's the most like permanent way to really change, because you can always tell yourself, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but the motivation, the incentive, the desire to do something like that, first of all, change is extremely hard, especially when you're going to make a massive change of your entire lifestyle. And so in order for you to to do that, you're going to need a very strong motivator. And I think you breaking down is really one of those motivators that can be potentially very, very strong. I personally went through this. Yeah, it was probably like a couple of years ago when like everything in my life was just bad. Like I didn't have any friends, and things were just. I always felt bad. I always felt like, something's not right with my life. Like I feel like I'm not going anywhere. There's really nothing exciting in my life. Everything just seemed dark, and like, just nobody really wanted to be around me, and I couldn't really express myself, and really be, really communicate with anyone, because I couldn't be very expressive. I didn't really talk much back in the day, and so it was very hard for me to let anybody else know and have anybody else help me. So at that point, I was pretty much alone in this, and so I had to make a decision. Either I bring myself out of this on my own, or I just let myself fall. And I was like, what, I think I'm capable of doing it. And so I went through a massive breakdown, and then eventually I started my journey of pursuing personal development and stuff. And as a matter of fact, my last book is really based on that. Like, I actually made a book that explained like the steps if anybody finds themselves in that type of place where you can't express yourself, you can't let anybody else know how you're feeling, like you're feeling like your life is going to shit, but like you can't really talk to anyone because you don't really talk much, you're very shy or something like that, you're more of an introvert guy, and so you can't talk. So then I kind of show you how to go through that mentally and how to process that and how to mentally become stronger to get yourself out of that until you're able to seek for help, and let somebody else potentially help you out a little bit. But definitely when you break down, it definitely helps out, because it gives you that emotional incentive to really go out there and make a change and really do something about what you're currently feeling there. And yes, and I still go through these once in a while, and as a matter of fact, I just thought about the previous point, when I was saying like the first couple of years that I started personal development, I really didn't meet anybody else who was doing the same thing as I would, so in my mind, I'm like, damn, like I'm like the smartest guy when it comes to like personal development. Like nobody understands this better than I do. So I felt like I was just like, I was at the top of the world. I'm like, man, I have all this knowledge. Like I'm just the smartest guy. And then like it was kind of until I started. I came to work here actually when I met Varushi and Rita, and so I actually met people who were actually in this journey, and I saw that and I saw that they had some level of personal development already, and I was like, like this is I guess I'm not, I guess I'm not the only one out there, at least I'm not the smartest one. So then I was like, you know, I gotta step it up, you know. And ever since, you know, I've kind of felt it like it's a competition, but it's a very healthy competition where, you know, I think we're all pretty much kind of like that. We're all trying to like grow and learn more, you know. Let's see who can learn the most, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, we all share what we learn and stuff like that. And so it's always like a healthy competition. But I think that's really extremely helpful. But definitely, I mean, don't be scared of breaking down. If you break down, just know that there's hope. And as a matter of fact, it's pretty much a good sign that, you know, it's time to change stuff and, you know, really level up and really look at your strengths, look at your values, and really maximize those, and, you know, get out there and make it happen.
Awesome. And don't forget the conferences and the
conferences.
Yeah, like going to conferences.
Oh yeah,
where,
definitely.
Like-minded people.
Oh, definitely,
gather.
definitely. Yeah. Very scary.
You know, you meet a lot of people there where they're kind of the same mindset, where you know, you learn so much from them, they learn from you.
It's scary, but it's exciting, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like it was scary because of, like, you know, the whole ego stuff, you know. You're like, you know, like, I don't want to meet someone who's smarter than me or something, you know.
Yeah.
But definitely exciting though.
Those stories and egos are not a good thing. You gotta let that go. I was listening recently, Wayne Dyer, and you know, he has this one video, 4 hours of seminar or something he has done.
Yeah.
And then in that, he explains so well how you know, you need to let go. What does he mean? He means you need to let go what you believe. You believe is keeping you behind. If you're not driving if your wish is to drive brand new Mercedes and your wish is to have a house on the mountain and you don't have it, it's most likely because of your belief system. You need to let go. You need to let go of your fear. You need to let go of your belief system, the way you do things, and all the stories, all the ego. You need to let go and see the difference. If you let go 10%, you're gonna see 10% better life. If you learn how to let go of everything, the key word is learn, and you're gonna see a whole lot of difference. Moving on. Remember, we're talking about from one individual sitting, doing little business here, to building a company. What does it take? The mindset. This is all designed, the questions are designed to what it takes, the journey. So, learning the rules to start working with other individuals like yourself, like your own you are. Now, because everything is learning in life, we start with by saying learning the rules. There are rules how to speak to people, how to communicate, when to open your mouth, when to not to open your mouth. No one feels the same everywhere, every minute. There are certain triggers, there are certain points, disagreements and agreements, and you have to learn all these things. You know, you cannot just open your mouth and agree or disagree or fight, argue about something that you don't disagree or agree. So this is something about you need to learn. If you haven't, please consider this. There are a bunch of books about this. You can go learn, study, and keep notes. That's another way of doing it. And by time you'll start learning this, and then don't do the same mistake over and over, because the explanation is insanity if you do that. So, like your own. Basically, when I say like your own, because when you build a company or you become part of a company, become you have your space where you can operate individually, which is entrepreneur. You have certain freedoms where you can talk, you can move, you can do stuff to create better better flow for the company, right? Because company is not one person. You're gonna learn how to talk to people and make sense when you talk. You're not overpowering, or you're not, you're not quiet where your point is not going across. And then this is something you need to learn. By learning this, you're gonna be better a communicator and do it good, and you're gonna have big results. And with that, I
Yeah, so yeah, so definitely learning the rules of working with other individuals is going to extremely help you out, you know, because first of all, the individuals that you're working with, you know, they're all human and they have their own personal lives going. And so once you're able to understand those people and then you really get them on your side and you understand like what their strengths are, what their passions are, you know, you're really able to decipher if they're even the right fit for that position. You know, of course, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, once you're working with your employees and stuff, so you sort of understand like what they're after, what their, you know, passions and ambitions are, you know. So once you understand that, you're able to really place them in the right place, or at the very least, you know, you understand that this is something that they want to do, you know, as opposed to, you know, having people who may not be the right fits. They may be really nice people, but who knows, they may just not be the right fit for that position. And so, you know, forcing somebody to do something that they don't necessarily enjoy doing, you know, in the long run, that's just not going to work out. You know, you may get them to do it for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, but they're not going to be pushing themselves. They're not going to be doing the best job that they could because they're just not happy. They're not enjoying it. So it definitely serves a purpose for you to be able to connect with those people and be able to understand them at a very human level. And so, and also when you're working with them, you know, once you understand that that's their passion, you know, you're able to really communicate with them and, you know, really get them to really get invested in whatever vision that you have as an entrepreneur, you know. So, you know, whatever your vision is, make sure that they understand what that vision is and make sure that passion that they have, you know, that it's connected to whatever vision that you ultimately have. So definitely extremely important to be able to communicate that way, you know, both individuals, you know, you and the other individual are able to, you know, transfer information and be able to be on the same page and know exactly, you know, what's going on and how everything is progressing and moving forward, and, you know, issues and stuff like that, you know, are resolved very quickly, and they don't get to a point where, you know, maybe you're not communicating effectively, and so your employee may be a little bit they may not be as happy, but they just don't know how to tell you, because who knows, maybe you haven't allowed them to be open with you. Maybe you've sort of told them like, hey, you know what, you just gotta do what you gotta do and like don't complain and stuff like that. And so, you know, they never speak up, and so, you know, all of a sudden one day comes and they just snap, and, you know, it's just crazy. And so, you know, you really gotta understand, you know, who you're working with. And so, you know, that way, you know, the communication is very open, you know, and very honest between the two individuals and stuff like that. And so once that's there, you know, there's really no barrier in communication, and so that's gonna just make you guys a lot more comfortable. And also, as an entrepreneur, you know, that's really what I am. And so, you know, I really try to communicate as much as possible. Of course, you know, communication itself isn't necessarily one of my strengths, but I try to work on it every single day and get it to, you know, as best as possible, you know, because communication itself is not something that, you know, I naturally can do. I really had to put in a lot of work, a lot of practice in order to learn how to communicate, how to express myself. I'm far more of a natural listener, and that's really what I enjoy doing even more. I enjoy really listening to people. And but yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and so you have to, you know, whatever your weakness is, especially if it's communication, you do have to work on it, because we live in a world where everything is driven by communication. And so if you don't communicate properly with the people you're working with, then that can create that can be sort of a problem down the line. So definitely invest in that.
All right, so next, this is something that happens after words, when you decide to leave from one individual sitting and creating something that, creating a living or something, then serving a few, then moving to creating a company or becoming part of a company where you are not one person anymore. You're actually becoming you have a different what is the word? Different responsibilities. That was the word I was looking for. So let go of your old self and find your new version. That means once you let go your old self, this is there's something it tells in Bible too, like to find your new self. That die of yourself, something like that. I'm sorry, I don't know. But you probably guys know what I'm talking about. So once you let go of your old self, once you let go of your ego, your everything that we talked about, your stories, you go through breakdown, and then you find yourself. You do a lot of study on yourself. There's little time pass. Now you understand what are you, who are you, and then you let go of your old self and find your new version. Now, once you find your new version, now you have to protect this new version. You cannot just keep on, morphing and switching and becoming different people. Now, you want to become the better version of you. Don't take somebody else's personality, or like there's that one word where people kind of like try to mimic other people and want to look cool and use certain words, where certain race or people use different words, and you don't forget all that. Okay, become better version of you. Be the better version of who you really, really, really are, and that's then when you start becoming better version of you, you need to protect that. You cannot let people tell you. Once I did this, I'm sure you probably heard this too, where and you guys too listening, ask yourself. You probably heard this if you become your better version, where everybody's like, "You used to be different, man. We used to have fun together. You're only working now. You're doing this wrong. You need to change this for yourself. Everyone has an opinion now. Everyone is pushing you around, and don't buy into it. Don't bite it. Don't worry about it. Just become better version of you. Work really, really, really hard to be better person. Do stuff better. You're gonna see the results. Some of the most result that you're gonna really see is money, which is you can count. Now, if the count of that money is becoming slowly bigger and bigger and bigger, then you obviously are doing something good, something better. The new version is working better than the old version, and maybe you should follow that path a little bit further and explore and find the other possibilities, what you can do more. And this is how it works. Once you find your better version, protect it and work on it a little bit more, become a little bit better each time, every time.
Yeah, so definitely letting go of your old self could be a little bit scary, because as we spoke previously, your old self is really your comfort zone. That's really where, and it doesn't even matter if your old self was good or not. Like, you can create a comfort zone around even painful situations. Like that's so crazy. Like how there's people who would literally, like, they would prefer to repeat the same pain over and over and over again just because it's comfortable and they know what that pain already is, as opposed to trying something new that can help them avoid that pain. So definitely it could be very hard to let go of your old self, because that's, like I said, it's your comfort zone. That's really what you know already. You know yourself to be that way, and going transitioning to a new self, it can feel a little bit weird. And yes, people around you will try to hold you back and tell you, like, oh, like, why are you changing? Why don't you just stay the way you were? Like, why don't you stay real? Like, why are you doing all this other stuff? That's not you. Why are you trying to be like somebody else? Why are you being fake or stuff like that? And this is all very, like, these are very negative comments that are very, like, stagnant, and they're very they really try to reel you backwards, as opposed to, you know, comments that could be more future oriented, more progressive oriented. And so those are the only comments I take right now. You know, anytime I hear something that's a comment that's very like that's trying to take me backwards, you know, I pretty much discard it like right away, because I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward. I want to improve. I want to grow. So like, definitely, once you go on that journey of pursuing and going after not only the new version, but like you said, you know, the best version of yourself, it's definitely gonna take a lot of work, and it's definitely gonna, you know, force you to really leave a lot of habits behind. But definitely at the end, it's gonna pay off, and it's really gonna be for your own good. And it's definitely gonna be something that's really gonna truly make you happy, as opposed to your old self, which, you know, you may think that you're happy, you may think it's exciting, you may think that, you know, this is it, this is all you can really do, this is all that's really meant for you. But the reality is that you don't know that, and you're just assuming that that's really all you can do. It's only until you decide to push yourself that you can see, like, oh, you know, there's that new possibility. You know, that's really how it happens. At least for me, that's really how it happened. You know, I started to like change one little thing at a time, and I was like, oh, you know, I can do that too. I can do that too. You know, one little thing, I was like, oh, you know, that too. I guess I can change that too. I guess that. And then all of a sudden, like, I already changed like 20, 30 things, you know, because they start to build up. So obviously you don't have to make like 30 changes, you know, all at once, but you may just make one. Just make one little small change, and then make another one and another one. And each time you make one change, you're going to prove to yourself like, hey, you know what? I can do it. If I really commit to it, this is possible. Of course, it's going to take time. Some changes are going to take longer than others, but at the end, all change is possible. It's just a matter of like, depending on the type of change you're trying to make. Of course, some changes far more harder than other change. So, you know, depending on that, it's going to take a lot longer. And also your personality, depending on who you are. Perhaps, you know, you have your strengths and you have your weaknesses. So if you're trying to change something within your weakness, it may be a little bit harder because it's your weakness. You're not very good at it. But who knows, your strengths may take a little bit faster because you already you have that natural strength in you. So who knows, it may take a little bit less of a time to make a change there. But change is really the best way to really get yourself to become the best version of yourself, and that's really what you want.
Awesome. It is incredible. We're gonna have so many cut videos from this that you know, like, we love to put out there for you guys to see. I was gonna say something. I don't know what I was gonna say, but let me move on. I might remember it. But you can use your talent for something minuscule. Remember, we're talking about starting from one person in the company and growing your company space where you reside, or from moving from one small shop into creating a company, multiple people. This is what it takes. You can use your talent from something minuscule or for something greater than you. So when you haven't done something big, it's always greater than you. When you get there, it's as hard as getting there is as hard to keep it going. There's going to be a lot of times where your mind is going to want to sabotage and want to close it down and go back to the comfort zone, to the small, when you were like by yourself and it was all nice and cozy. But you know what? The thing is, like, once you develop yourself and then you get there, you know, you gotta learn the game, how to keep it going, and don't worry about the minuscule things. It's not gonna get you anything. So there's definitely a rules there and a game, and you have to learn. And don't be shy to ask people around you if they're already doing that you know those people. Sometimes they're a little bit secretive, sometimes they're willing to share the experiences with you, and then just find out. You know, you don't lose anything. The one thing is be okay with disappointments. If they don't want to tell you, you're gonna get disappointed, and just be okay with it. You know, just do it again. Just do it. Don't worry. Like, if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. Basically, I'll do it later. How many times you told that to yourself, or you heard that from other people? I do it later. It's not do it later. It's just do it. Like, don't even do it now. Just do it. Like, that's it. That's what it takes. And once you have that kind of mindset, you develop that, and then you just start doing stuff. You know, when you do stuff gets happen, and then you experience stuff, and then you experience growth, new clients, new products, new stuff, and this is how we do it here. We just do it. We don't ask when, why, later. There's no later. There's nothing. We just stop and do it, and then go back to what we're doing. And that's it. This section is about that.
Yeah. So you can use your talent for something minuscule or for something really greater than you. So yeah, like I was saying previously, like actually in my experience, when I first started studying personal development, it was primarily just for me, and that's really what I wanted to use it for. And I actually found that yes, I do have there is sort of a natural talent for me when it comes to personal development, because I pretty much understood everything right from the beginning, and it was very natural. There wasn't really that much resistance, and I think that's just because of who I am. Just being an introvert, we just tend to be very introspective and very like I said, we have our strengths and weaknesses, and so I just had that I have that very introspective mind where I can overthink and everything really made sense. But it was just really for me, it was really just to improve myself and really, make the most out of really my own life. I really wasn't really considering even teaching such a thing at some point, like I am doing now. I never considered actually going in front of the camera until eventually, I sort of did, but then I didn't want to share the content. And so because primarily was because I wasn't very good in camera, but the other reason was because I didn't want to put out that information. I was like, maybe I should be very secretive with it, maybe I should just keep it to myself, because I felt like it was extremely valuable and it should be like this secretive information that should not be put out there, but even though it was already out there. But yeah, so but eventually, I was like, at this point I was like, what else can I do with that information? Yes, it's helped me a lot, and it's still helping me to this day, but do I really just want it to end there? Do I really I really think about the day I die, and what I'm gonna leave behind, and really the legacy I want to leave behind, and is that really how I want to die? Just knowing that I kept everything to myself and I never shared and never put out, everything that I knew. And the thing is, with personal development, I actually not only do I understand it, but I also have this capacity to be able to express it in very different ways to people. And so I knew I had that in me, and of course, I'm still developing it within time, but I knew that was there, and I was like, I should put that out there. I think people deserve to know what I have to say. And ever since, I haven't really looked back, and I've started to make videos constantly ever since I made that choice, and I've been making, and really I've been trying to figure out even more ways, how can I put out this information. So at first it's just been videos, and then I was like, but yeah, maybe I can put it out through books as well. So I started writing books, and soon I'm gonna turn those books into audiobooks, and then I don't know, I'm gonna find even more ways, to motivational videos, and I'm still trying to figure out, what other ways can I put out all this personal development information, this podcast too, and it's just yeah. So
awesome. I think let's skip this too.
All right, let's do it.
We kind of talked about this too.
All right, let's do
the
closing,
which is Develop Your Mindset podcast. So we always have the last we leave develop your mindset, because entrepreneur and finder. I said something here that I don't know. Develop your mindset because entrepreneur and finder. Okay, so basically here, guys, we're talking about I said multiple times because it's very important to understand this what this podcast is about. Because starting by yourself, building a company, if you have done it, you understand. If you haven't done it, this was the road to go to start and get there and keep it and going. And this is what the road is. A lot of development, a lot of letting go, and a lot of new version of you. And so basically this is going to take lots of develop your mindset, because entrepreneur, this is what you go through to be able to do the better in your where you are reside, which is like to build something, to create something, you total makeover mindset. And this is, you got to develop it, and once you do, you're gonna get there, and you're gonna get there good. You're not gonna lose it once you get there, because once you develop your mindset, it's your own. You own it. No one can take it from you. Don't listen to other influencers where trying to tell you like to come back to let's go. Like one thing I can remember and say, once I was able to develop my mindset, I was able, I stopped myself going to bars and hubs and like to play soccer, to waste time. It wasn't appealing to me anymore. It was a waste of time. I was very focused on developing myself, developing the company, developing my skill set, everything with relationships, what I wear, what I dress. When I get home, I clean my shoes, I put away. I start noticing every little thing I wanted to do, not because I wanted to be perfect and I had this sickness, but it was the image had to be part of the your journey. Everyone kind of like when they first see you, they have their mind how do you say it, like once they have the they, what is the word, maybe you can remove this part, but I need to say this correctly. Basically what I'm going to try to say is you meet first time someone and immediately you have something in your mind, like this guy is a very clean guy, or this guy is like very
like a first impression,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's come back. So this is what I'm trying to say. First impression is very important. So that's why you need to dress well, clean. You need to open your mouth and make sense. Don't talk nonsense. This is all development. This is where you're gonna work and become better version of you. And then basically develop your mindset is all about this. And with this, I'm gonna end my total questions reading.
Yeah, so develop your mindset and become an entrepreneur. Definitely, when you adopt that type of mindset, you start to think a little bit more. You pretty much take everything seriously, like, sort of like Varish was saying here, as opposed to before. When you don't take your life so seriously, and you're just sort of like living in the moment, and you're in this like YOLO kind of mindset and stuff like that, which I never really liked, by the way. To be honest, even from the first time I even heard that, I was like, well, what is that? Like, and honestly, I think this is probably the best possible type of life, really, because it really pushes you to become, the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Like, I myself, like I pretty much always wanted to. I never really contextually knew that I wanted to become an entrepreneur and eventually an entrepreneur. But I never like knew it, like as far as like the term goes. But deep down I always wanted to like pursue something and be after something and really have that like that have like a meaningful life. Yeah, that's why in my first couple of years, like I saw people who would go to parties and have all this excitement and go and do all this adventure and stuff like that, and that works out for some people, but for me that never really even to this day, that still doesn't really excite me, and because like that's just not part of my personality. I actually enjoy really just doing work and really sitting down in front of a computer and having something to work, and I enjoy progress. I enjoy working hard and seeing something go from start to finish, and that in of itself it really excites me, and I just love that. And that's pretty much what you'll get once you embrace this life of entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship, and the beauty of it is that there's those two options. Perhaps right now maybe you just don't have the incentive to start a company right now, or you may just be working for somebody at this point, and that's perfectly fine. As we said, there's that option to be an entrepreneur, so you can always maximize your one position in that company, whatever your position is, try to become the best possible, the best really at that position, whatever it is within that company. Or if you're an entrepreneur, then of course you're working towards your company, towards your big vision. So it's definitely like a place where you can really develop your mindset and really push yourself to become the best version of yourself.
Awesome, beautifully said. And we're done with our podcast questions. This was number 51. We finished 50. I think we're gonna do a bunch of smaller podcast, meaningful videos where we're gonna use the numbers where we are putting important and knowledgeable development stuff, videos that we're gonna go through out the company. Now that we have the studio, we're gonna utilize it like that, and then we're gonna we will be doing the Saturday podcast full videos, but we will be also doing a lot of smaller meaningful ones, and tune in with those throughout the week. We will be posting those also, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for sticking this long and watching everything that we had to say. This is stuff that we really go through, and this is the stuff we believe and we work on nonstop towards the becoming better version of ourselves, and hope you do that too, because this is amazing journey we all take on in this life, and hope you guys get there, man, and be amazing people out there. And I can't wait to hear from you guys what you have to say, what you've experiencing. If any of our podcast videos that had helped you, please write and share with us your journeys, your experiences, what have you learned and how it helped you. We're very excited to hear any of you guys tell us your part of the story. And also don't forget to follow me, my own personal channel on Visuals, and follow Luis on
The Almighty
Luis channel. And we will be putting the links down below, and please do that and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
So thank you very much for watching another episode of Develop Your Mindset podcast. And we really hope that you really enjoyed the new studio, the new experience, everything that we've made, all the changes that we've made. And so please leave it down in the comment section below, what you think. What are your thoughts of this new studio? Is there something that you think we should change, or do you really like it? Let us know down below. We would really like to hear your feedback. As we said, this was a lot of hard work, to put it all together. So we would really appreciate it, if you could just, let us know what are your thoughts and everything. So definitely very, 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 very deep podcast. I think we covered a lot of very important points. And like you said, yes, there will be smaller clips being released in the upcoming week, as far as like some of the core points that we covered in this podcast, so that you're able to, if, in case you don't have the time to consume the entire podcast, because we do recognize it's pretty long. Maybe you only have a couple minutes. Well, then we'll make those smaller clips so that you're able to listen to the information a little bit quicker, get to the point. Anyway, guys, so there's gonna be links down below, so you guys can go ahead and subscribe, like you said, to our personal channels, and of course there's gonna be links to our social media here of Develop Your Mindset Podcast. And there's going to be besides the podcast clips, there's going to be a couple of other motivational videos as well, releasing, that we do every single week, and it's going to be exciting. And of course, we got this new studio, the new table and everything. And so, we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you in the next episode.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you.
We'll see.